Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys about shooting 200 yards with a Ruger 1022 using a red dot. Okay. Now I know if we use a magnification scope, it's a lot easier. It's even easier if it's a day that's not cold and windy. But specifically, what I want to train is using a red dot at distance. The way I see my Ruger 1022 is basically this is a training rifle for my AR-15. Okay, so basically I want to be able to do stuff that I normally do on my AR on this Ruger. And on most of my ARs I have a red dot. Now I did a prior video on the zero that I normally use on 22s, and it's a 20-yard zero. And the reason why I use a 20-yard zero is because I'm able to shoot all the way out to 100 yards without having to adjust. Let me show you here. Okay, basically with a 20-yard zero, right at 20 yards, basically I have everything in the bullseye here. There's actually 3 shots touching here and 2 touching here. Then I go out to 50 yards. Okay, so at 50 yards, basically that's these 5 shots. I'm doing 5-shot groups. Okay, I anchored a little bit to the left over here so that they wouldn't be on top of each other. So at 50 yards, basically it's about 2 inches high over here. Okay. Put this down. At 75 yards, I get my second zero. Okay, so I get my first zero is at 20 yards. It rises about 2 to 3 inches at 50 yards, and then at 75 yards, it's on its way back down. Okay, so at 75 yards, I've got my second zero. And then at 100 yards, basically I'm about 4 inches low. I think that's 4 inches low. Let's see, 4 inches low. I'm actually 4.5 inches low from the center. Nah, that's really 4 inches because the center's right there. I'm 4 inches low at 100 yards, and this ended up being my best grouping, about an inch and 3/4, inch and a half. I was paying a little bit more attention when I was shooting the 100 yards. But that's why I like using that 20-yard zero for the type of training that I like to do, where basically, you're coming up, you're doing fast, boom, 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 moving, and so I want to be able to come up, put the red dot on target, and without having to adjust, be able to hit this paper all the way from zero distance all the way out to 100 yards. Okay. Now the red dot that I'm using is the Holosum 503g. Double check that. Yeah, 503g. This has the ACSS reticle. Okay, that stands for Advanced Combat Sighting System. And the reticle looks like this. Okay. So what you get is you get a 65 MOA circle, right? And then you've got this chevron over here with 3 dots underneath it. And at close distance, basically the whole circle, that 65 MOA circle, that basically you just put this on the target, because let's say at 50 yards, basically this big circle is gonna take up this whole area right here. So you put it right on the center, and you shoot. Okay. If I want a more precise shot, what I do is, you see that tip over there, the tip of that chevron, okay, that goes underneath the spot you want to hit. So when I was shooting the 20 yards, basically the tip of that chevron went right at the edge of that blue here. Okay, so same thing at 50 yards, I put it right here on the edge of on that corner there. Okay, and then it shot about 2 inches high over here. Same deal at 75 yards. I put the tip of the chevron right on that blue. I basically had my second zero. And then at 100 yards, basically I put the tip of the chevron there, and it dropped 4 inches down over here. Okay. So that's how I sight that in. Now, if you buy this this 503g, they're gonna give you a paper. They're gonna tell you, I think, the zero at 50 yards, but that will only get you all the way out to 175 yards. Using this system, because in that system, if you use the 50-yard zero, basically the top is 50 yards, Then the two legs over here at the bottom are 100 yards. Then it's 125, 150, and 175. Okay, but I wanted to go all the way out to 200. So what I did is I did 20 yards. Okay. Now here's the thing. This looks nice and clear here. In reality, unless your eyes are perfect, and my eyes are not perfect, what you're gonna see is you're not going to see 3 dots. You're probably going to see like a squiggly line over here. It's going to be really hard to focus on the 3 dots. But what I am able to focus on is either this tip up here or this bottom dot over here. Okay. So that's what basically I did when I was shooting 200 yards. At 200 yards, what I would do is I took that dot here, the bottom dot, or the think of this out almost as a solid, because when I look at these 3 dots become a solid line to me when I look at it through the glass. So what I did is I took that dot, okay, this is at 200 yards, and I basically put that dot as best as I could, in the center of this paper here. I basically cut this paper in half because this thing looks tiny at 200 yards. So I put that dot right here in the center. And I was using that. I took a 10-shot group. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the paper, okay, and then I got 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now there's other factors. First of all, it's hard to hold this perfect in the center because everything is so small at 200 yards. There's no magnification, and plus there's some wind out, a little bit of wind out today. So I'm pretty happy with this group. I did this again. This is actually the earlier one that I did. And with this one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 again. I'll clip it right there at the end. So 7 out of 10 again at 200 yards. So using this red dot, I'm able to get about 7 out of 10 consistently at 200 yards. Now the other cool thing about this combat reticle, in addition to being a bullet drop compensator, right? Okay, it's also a range estimator, so that you know how far your target is. Okay, so basically, there's 2 methods here. If you look at the the legs over here, okay, if a man, shoulder to shoulder fits inside those 2 legs, okay, you're at 400 yards. Okay, he's at 400 yards. If his shoulders go to the outside of the 2 legs, then he's at 300 yards. Okay, and then if it's basically if he's bigger than that, then it doesn't make a difference, because then you would just take the whole chevron, put it on the target, and basically this arrow right here then becomes a red dot. You just put it right in the center. Now, here's the thing. If you're measuring shoulder to shoulder, I mean, there's a lot more room for error, because first of all, somebody could be standing like this. So, it can be a little bit hard to get perfect. Height is usually a better range estimation. So what you can do is you can use the height of this. Basically, if a man's head, okay, this is an average man that's 5'10". That's what they've sized this for. If a man fits inside, basically underneath these 2 arms, so if he goes from there to the top of the legs over here, okay, he's at 600 yards. Okay, if his head comes to the middle over here, right, so his shoulders touch the tip, okay, he's at 500 yards. Okay, and then if his shoulders come basically to the middle of the legs, and his head actually comes above it, then he is at 0 distance out to 400 yards. So again, now you would just take the chevron, put it right in the center, and take a shot. So what you're really interested in is in that 500, 600 yard estimation, because that's where it's really going to matter. If you're shooting, again, 5.56, because again, I'm using this to practice for shooting 5.56. And here's the thing, you may not always have a 600 yard range, but you might be able to find a 200 yard range. So by taking this red dot and putting it on a 22 rifle, you're able to practice some of these things. What you're also able to do is you can also because how you gonna actually practice this range estimation? Well, they make targets that are like human size, right? They're usually from the waist up. And what you do is, if you can get to a 600-700 yard range, you place these man-sized targets at different distances, okay? Or you have your friend do it, or you do it yourself without actually measuring it out. So when you're looking at it through the glass, you don't know what distance they're at. So now you have to use the range estimator to take your best shots. Now usually they're going to be from the waist up. So what you're going to do is instead of going full length, you're going to go to the halfway point. So basically you're going to basically cut out the bottom half and use that part to do your range estimation. So it's a very cool tool. You know, this system, I think it was used by, I think it was first used in Iraq on ACOGs, okay, and it was very successful. Using this system and this chevron, you know, basically from what I've heard, a lot of the insurgents over there, you know, they thought that every Marine was basically a sniper because they were hitting, you know, shots at, like, you know, they were getting hit at like 400 and 500 and 600 yards, and this is the reason, because they had this system over here to be able to judge the distance, and then they had the dots to be able to do the, you know, to do proper bullet drop compensation. So this is a great system, and I don't have 600 yards to practice this on a 5.56, right? But I can kind of shrink it down. And with the 22 long rifle on this Ruger 1022, I can you know, I can use a 200 yard range to practice some of this stuff and practice using the different dots at different ranges. So again, I'll show you guys one more time. This is at 200 yards. 200 yards, and using those dots, I was able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits on the paper here, and then 7 hits up there on that paper. Now I have hit 200 yards just using a regular red dot, okay, using the 2 MOA red dot. But here's the thing: at 200 yards with a regular red dot, what I do is basically, okay, I put the red dot. Pretty much the red dot takes up almost all the paper. What I do is I take the red dot, then I take it and I put it up here, so I anchor it to the bottom of the paper, and then wherever I think that stops, I then take it and I double it. Okay, so I go 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's what I do with a 2 MOA red dot, and I can usually get hits on the paper, you know, and that works. However, using this system with this reticle, with the 3 dots over here, I'm able to take the bottom of this thing, because remember, I'm, like I said, with my eyes, I'm basically seeing a solid arrow here. I'm able to take that dot, and I can more consistently anchor to the center of this paper. So I'm not kind of guessing, you know, 1, 2 up here. I put it right in the center, and I can get more consistent hits. And the cool thing is, given with this 20 yard zero, okay, I'm at the center of the paper. So if I go out to, let's say, 230 or 250 yards, you know, now I can take this dot and I can, you know, the bottom, and actually anchor to the top here. So this can actually stretch me out closer to 250 yards, although I haven't tried that. But the potential's there because you're not off the paper yet. You know, once you come off the paper, you know, once you're up here, all right, you know, after that it's a guessing game, because it's like, okay, because it's really hard to consistently place your dot, you know, or whatever you're using above the target, you know, because you're not sure, you know, you're not going to be able to do it consistently every time. But as long as you can anchor to the paper, whether it's here or there, you can be pretty consistent. So that's what I want to share with you guys. Again, I'm using a 20 yard zero on this Ruger 1022, and just one more time, you can see what it looks like. Okay, so there's the 20 yard zero. Okay, and then at 50 yards, I'm about 2 inches high. At 75 yards, I got my second zero. And then at 100 yards, I'm 4 inches low. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any other ideas, any experiences you want to share, please post it in the comment section. If you're not a member of my channel, please subscribe and hit that bell button so you get notifications of other videos. I'll talk to you guys next time.